I probably don't have to tell you that parenting is not easy, even at the best of times. But now, during a pandemic, it is harder than ever. Many kids are trying to get into an online learning routine, and parents are trying to help them cope and deal with their own stress. Dr. John Duffy is a psychotherapist, author, national speaker, and parenting expert. He wrote this book. It's called Parenting the New Teen in an Age of Anxiety. Good morning to you, Dr. Duffy.
Good morning, Molly. How are you?
I'm doing great. It's good to see you. I know that you see a lot of young people in your office, and I just wonder generally, are problems, do they seem more severe to you? What are kids saying?
So, if you think back to March or April when this was all starting, things were super acute and we were really dealing with crises in families and households. I was calling Department of Children and Family Services and police departments even because families were dealing with more togetherness and stress than they ever could possibly be used to. Now, 6 months in, things are far more chronic and families present and kids present as far more lethargic and depressed and complacent, and it's very difficult for them to get motivated. So things have slowed down, but not, I wish I could say it was a healthy way, but really not in a very healthy way.
Yeah, it's probably not surprising. And I think especially with no clear end in sight, it's hard for all of us, including parents. And I wonder about the emotions you're seeing from parents. What are the emotions that you're seeing for parenting in a pandemic?
I so feel for parents right now, Molly, because there is a sense of complacency that they're exhibiting too, because this has been a long, long grind for them, and it promises to be much longer. And so they're trying to keep all these balls in the air with their own work and keeping a household running and keeping their kids accustomed to a whole new way of learning once again. And I'm also seeing a lot of frustration in trying to keep all this together and also become de facto teachers to their children and getting them used to and acclimated to and attentive to Zoom calls while doing all of the rest of their work. I think these are very difficult times for parents.
We often talk about time management. Do you feel that that is more important now when there's less to do and fewer places to go than perhaps ever before?
Yes, I was working with a family earlier this week, and they put this in the most beautiful way. They said, "This 6 months has been the longest Thanksgiving weekend ever. We we haven't gotten up on time. We haven't gotten much work done. We eat whatever we want, and now they realize, and I think we all realize, we have to buckle down and really protect time for the things that matter." And create some sense of stability and consistency within our homes, regular wake times and sleep times, work times, and maybe most importantly, right now, exercise times, because moving into movement from inertia is a big deal right now, and not enough of us are moving, and we become symptomatic rather quickly when we don't.
Yeah, and I think getting outside with that movement is so key. I want to talk about something that you've said ever since I've known you, and that is for parents to be available. Your book that we used to talk about all the time was The Available Parent. Now we've talked about teens and anxiety. But I wonder, because you emphasize the connection that we as parents have with our children. So what are some useful tips you can give us about being available, but also connecting with kids, which I think can be particularly difficult with teens and now young adults, even college-age kids at home?
You are absolutely right. This is a particular difficulty in an awful lot of households. So I encourage parents to bring your expectations of just the number of words you're going to get and positive words that you're going to get from your kids way down, because your kids are probably not feeling particularly great these days and they're not going to say much. So they work in sound bites, right? They're used to Snapchat, they're used to texting and Instagram and very brief communication. So accept that. And if you get the half-hour discussion, take it, but also take the little sound bites and remember that your child is a teenager or tweenager or young adult in the midst of a pandemic. You don't know what that's like. So you have the liberty of asking them, what is this like? What do you need? What can I do for you to be helpful? And that's an opening for a whole new discussion that you've never had before. So take that opening.
I like that. I also, to leave it on a positive note, fairly quickly, are you seeing any silver linings or anything that seems hopeful to you from either kids or from parents?
Yes, yes, in both situations. So kids are have more information at the ready in the palm of their hand than they ever have, and so developmentally they may not be prepared for this, but they are empathic. They have a point of view. They want to do something about the pandemic, social unrest, the racial unrest that's going on in the world. So engage in your with your kids in discussions about this stuff because the hope lies with the kids. And keep in mind also for parents that the goals of parenting are competence and resilience. And every day that you and your kids make it through a pandemic, you are establishing and developing competence and resilience as time goes on here.
I like that. Thank you so much, Dr. Duffy. It's always a blast to have you on the show. Appreciate your time.
Thank you, Molly.
Absolutely. Take good care of yourself. And you can find Dr. Duffy's book and more about his podcast, his blog, and speaking events by visiting drjohnduffy.com. There it is right there. All right.